Now when I say Volvo, chances are that you're thinking of safety, and rightly so, because this is arguably the brand that's done the biggest push towards safer automobiles on the planet over the past few decades. Now, looking at the future, their eyes are firmly set on the electric vehicle space. Come year 2030, all their cars that will be on sale will be fully electric. And the steps towards that movement has already begun because they already have the XC40 Recharge on sale in the Indian market. However, now they're ready to bring in their second fully electric car in the form of this, the C40 Recharge. Well, as you can see, we are here in the lap of nature. We'll be taking the C40 Recharge out for a drive and tell you everything you need to know about it. Let's start with the design of the Volvo C40 Recharge, as it is perhaps the biggest reason that would make you want to consider purchasing this car. Because, well, look at it. Yes, looks are a subjective matter, but in my books, the C40 looks unassumingly stunning. Sure, it looks identical to the XC40 Recharge from the front, the EV that it is based on, but it does stand apart when you look at it from the sides, and especially when you see it from the back. From the sides, you get to see the different alloy wheel design, which now looks a lot sharper than before. But of course, the big highlight is the sloping roofline, which is aggressive and gives the car a sporty look. From the back, what attracts your attention is the two-part spoiler system. And lastly, the lights have been updated too. At the front, you now get pixel headlights, albeit in an identical shape. And at the back, the tail lamps now intrude into the boot lid and have a startup and shutdown animation as well. Overall, the C40 looks a lot busier from the back, but it all comes together rather well in the shape of a simply put, good-looking car. The upside of this shape is that the C40 is now a lot more aerodynamic, which has bumped up its total range to an impressive 530 kilometers as per the WLTP cycle. For the downside, well, let's step inside the car. Well, now let's talk about the interiors of the C40 Recharge, and the first thing that you would notice once you sit here and want to start the car is, well, the absence of a start-stop button. Now that's because the way to start this car is rather different. All you have to do is be seated here on the passenger seat, and the car will be able to sense that there is a driver in place. And as long as you have the key on you, all you have to do is press the brake pedal and directly put it into drive, and the car will be ready to drive away. So that's a nice little quirk for you. But the cabin experience as a whole is, well, identical to the XC40 Recharge, because that is the same dash as this. And that's not a bad thing, honestly, because what you realize is that the cabin is really well put together. The quality of materials used is top notch, and everything is right where you want it to be and put together very, very nicely. So the in-car experience is of a very premium car. The highlight of the dash, of course, is this portrait-style touchscreen infotainment system, and this also gives you an idea of just how smart Volvo has been with their approach to the car, because in this screen, what's running is Google's own OS. There's no skin on top. It doesn't have its own design element or anything. This is an actual Google screen, and as a result, what you get is a very smooth touchscreen infotainment experience, very crisp graphics, everything that you want, and no bloatware whatsoever. It does come with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. However, you have to plug it into these USB-C type ports to make it work. So that's a little bit of a miss. But the experience in itself is very good, and the audio experience is also good, because what you get is the 13-speaker Harman Kardon audio system, which actually makes for a great in-car audio experience. If you talk about practicality, well, you have a couple of cup holders here, you have a wireless charging pad, you have your regular 12-volt socket, of course, the two USB-C ports, as I mentioned. Side note, USB-C ports, in my opinion, are much better than regular USB ports, because all the phones are switching to USB-C chargers. you are going to buy a car for several years, and from that perspective, this is future proofing. Other than that, of course, you have a storage compartment under your armrest. At the front, you have a couple of cubby holes to put your knickknacks in if need be, and the glove box is fairly sized as well. What I really like are these textured elements on the dashboard, which also extend onto the sides of the door panels, and very interestingly, they're supposed to light up at night and have a translucent appearance. We are actually sitting in daytime, as you can clearly see, but we will put in a shot here so you will be able to see just how good it looks at night. I think this gives it a very unique appeal and will be a party trick for your passengers whenever they're seated inside the car once the sun goes down. The overall experience is comfortable, it's familiar, but now let's talk about the rear seat experience. Now here at the back, of course, there's been some compromise because of the sloping roof line, which looks good, but for the rear passengers here, the headroom has gone down a bit. For reference, I'm 5'10", and you can see I have just about enough headroom here to fit in. 6-footers will actually feel cramped at the back of the C40 Recharge, so that's something for you to note. Now, talking about the rear passengers, I would say it is best meant for two passengers sitting next to each other, because what you have here in the middle is this big transmission tunnel. Now, why is there a transmission tunnel in the C40 Recharge, which is an electric car? The reason is because the C40 Recharge is based on the XC40 Recharge, which is the electric version of the XC40, which of course comes with a conventional engine and gearbox drivetrain. So the transmission tunnel is still here, it's not a flat floor, and as a result, somebody sitting here in the middle will be hunting for space down here. Now, as long as there are two people seated here and they can fit within the headspace, the amount of space on offer is actually quite good. For reference, I'm 5'10", and I've set the front seat as per my driving position, and you can see I have loads of knee room on offer. I can comfortably slide my feet under the seat and really have a relaxed seating position as well. I have a drop-down armrest with 2 cup holders. I also get 2 USB-C charging ports for the rear passengers, and of course 2 vents at the back as well. Other clever bits here at the back is of course this inclusion of a net in the front so that you can keep your tablet or smartphone, and you get bottle holders on the doors. But very interestingly, there's also another storage compartment right next to it where you can keep some small things if you so wish to do so. Now, of course, we cannot wrap up our rear seat experience without talking about the glass roof. Now, I have mixed feelings about it because the view is fantastic. As you can see in this cutaway, the clouds are going by, it's a nice clear sky, it's a fantastic view. However, I wish there was an option to just cover it all up, because in our sunny conditions, this would heat up the cabin quite a lot. So that's a bit of a concern. It is darkened, of course, so there's no direct sunlight, there's no glare in your eyes or anything like that. But I do feel the heat if the cabin was left unattended, locked in daylight. I think that's a bit of a concern. But again, mixed feeling, depends on how much you appreciate this view up from the top. But an actual usage though is that it gives you a feeling of airiness inside the cabin, and that's a really good thing. And with all that done, it's now time to talk about the driving experience. And perhaps we can start with some big questions. Does the C40 Recharge give you the go anywhere capability and confidence in your mind? Well, today, as I mentioned, we've had almost all kinds of road terrains on offer, and also all kinds of weather conditions too. It was raining, it was pouring, at one point it got a bit foggy, then the sun came out, there's water, there's good roads, bad roads, we even hit the highways. In all conditions, not once did the C40 Recharge feel like it was out of its element. Now when we talk about the experience of driving the C40 Recharge, well, it's a familiar affair, and that's not exactly a bad thing once again, because the XC40 Recharge was always a good car to drive. Today, however, we have had all kinds of terrains at our disposal, as right now I'm going through some really bad broken roads, big potholes. But here's the thing, even through these bad sections of roads, the C40 Recharge does not feel overly heavy, as is the case with many cars that have been turned into electric but were previously combustion engine powered. Because what happens is, when you put in a battery pack, an electric motor and things like that, the weight of the car goes up quite a lot, and that can be felt on bad roads. But in the C40 Recharge, well, even on bad sections of roads, it does not feel overly heavy. The suspension does not feel like it's going to crash out and give you a hard time. Another interesting addition from Volvo is the single pedal driving. It can be put in an automatic mode where it engages itself, or you can manually turn it on or off through the screen as well. And what that does essentially is that it applies brakes when you let go of the accelerator. And interestingly, the amount of brakes applied is directly codependent on how much of the accelerator pedal you're letting go. So it's not simply an on-off transition, you can modulate it as well. And as a result, this is one of the best single pedal driving experiences that I've experienced in any electric vehicle so far. Eventually, once the roads open up, you will be able to enjoy over 400 horsepower and 660 Newton meters of torque available the moment you put your foot down. That kind of acceleration puts the C40 Recharge in a league of its own. I mean, that much performance can take it from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in a matter of just 4.7 seconds. And mind you, these were supercar numbers about a decade ago. The C40 Recharge is properly fast. Now, all that performance wouldn't have meant much if the car was not set up right. And I'm happy to report that the C40 Recharge has been set up beautifully. Yes, in some of those undulations at highway speeds, you do feel the weight of the car. But all in all, the C40 Recharge is a car that's been set up really well. The C40 Recharge comes with low resistance tires, and that usually is not what you appreciate during those tight turns. The C40 Recharge, even in these damp conditions, has never let go of the grip and is a good car to drive. A big part of the confidence that it instills in you comes from the brakes actually, because the C40 Recharge, despite being electric, does have a very good brake feedback and bite as well. And once you get that confidence to brake into the corner, you take the corner, and when you exit with such ferocity, with 660 Newton meters of torque at your disposal, the C40 Recharge comes across as a properly fast car. Now, if you shift focus away from the driver and talk about the other passengers in the car, well, their experience will be good as well. Because you see, this is an electric vehicle, so you don't have that engine noise and gear noise and all of that coming inside your cabin. But still, the NVH levels are very good. There is hardly any noise that creeps into the cabin, if only your attention will be on the tire noise that will be coming, as it cannot be drowned out through the engine noise, because, well, this doesn't have an engine in the first place. All in all passengers will be happy, and if you're someone who likes to drive your car, you will be more happy than everybody else. Well, now we've come to the end of our drive of the C40 Recharge, and now it's time to sum up this beautiful looking car. Well, at the end of the day, I don't think there's anything fundamentally wrong with the car. It's a very good car, and I always found the XC40 to be a good looking car, the XC40 Recharge to also be good looking, but I think it is the C40 that looks the best out of the trio and is a proper stylish car for those who want to have that badge on their shoulders that they are eco warriors, but at the same time want to be seen in a nice looking car as well. At the time of recording this, we don't know the price of the car. For that, we'll have to wait. However, keeping that out of the equation, I think that the C40 Recharge actually manages to make a unique spot for itself, as it is a good looking car, has good performance and has good range on offer as well. All we have to see is the price of the car, and if price rise, I think Volvo has a winner on their hands. Thank you so much for making it till the end of our C40 first drive impressions. I hope you liked the video. If there's anything you have to say, make sure you put that down in the comment section below. I will be hanging around there, seeing what all it is that you have to say. Perhaps let me know what you think of the design of the car. I'm Manav Sinha. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you around next time.